Hello and welcome to Watch Releases Recap for the week of January 19th until January the 26th. Let's begin with Nomos and their new Orin Neomatic Black collection. Nomos is a German brand with a unique Bauhaus design language. When you look at Nomos watch, you can right away tell that it's a Nomos. In fact, I'm wearing a Nomos right now. Orin is one of their dress watch collections, although the argument could be made that all of their watches could be worn as dress watches. In fact, this watch right here is actually a sports watch that I'm currently wearing as a dress watch. This new Neomatic Black collection is not just a new dial color, it also comes with new case size. So there are three different case sizes to choose from. You have a 36, a 39, and a 41. There are slight dial differences between each version of this watch. Let's begin with the 36mm version. To be more specific, it's actually 35.5mm in diameter, and it's only 8.5mm in case thickness. The water resistance was bumped up to 50 meters from 30 meters on the existing models, so that's a welcomed addition. And the difference between this one and the other black versions is the dial colors. The hour marks and that word Neomatic by the 12 o'clock position are both done in gold, and I think that contrast between black and gold works really well. Now the next model up, the 38.5mm model, it still features the same case thickness and also has 50 meters of water resistance, but this time it's pretty much all silver except for that Neomatic word. Now that's written in gold. Everything else is monochrome, black and silver. Lastly, the biggest version, the 40.5mm version, it is also slightly thicker, 9.4mm in case thickness, so not exactly thick, but it is almost a millimeter thicker than the 36mm version. This version also features 50 meters of water resistance. This time the accents are slightly different. The hour marks are white, but the set of hands are executed with gold accents. The Neomatic word is still written in gold, and this time you get a date window at the 3 o'clock position. As you can see, the background of the date wheel matches the dial color. However, the numerals are executed with the gold accents to match the set of hands. I think all three versions look very sharp. In terms of the sizing, I prefer that 38.5mm version. These watches tend to wear larger, so I think for the majority of wrists, that's going to be the safe choice. As far as the pricing goes, the smallest version is 3,040 euros, the 38.5mm version is 3,180 euros, and the largest version is 3,500 euros because this one features a slightly different movement with a date complication. The new Longines Conquest Heritage Central Power Reserve. I am quickly becoming a big fan of Longines as a brand. Lately, they've been bringing out a lot of cool watches, and this watch here is no exception. This new model is actually a reissue of a model from 1954 called Conquest Power Reserve. As you can see, the modern version pays a lot of tribute to the vintage one, however, it is modernized. So the vintage one, I believe, was 35mm in case diameter. This new one is 38. That's a more contemporary size. They also bumped up water resistance to 50 meters from 30 meters on the old one, and now it features this boxed sapphire crystal as opposed to the acrylic crystals of the past. As far as the dial design, I think it's balanced fairly nicely. I haven't seen a date window at the 12 o'clock position in a while, and I think on this watch it actually works pretty well. You have the hour marks executed with gold, and the set of hands also features gold. Those are nice accents that make this dial really pop. I should note that this model is available with three different dial variations. There is the cream one, the gray one, and the black one. Usually I prefer black or gray, but I think on this model specifically, that cream dial with the gold accents just works so well. The standout feature of this watch is of course that power reserve indicator, that disc in the center. So it's actually two different discs, and as you wind the watch, as the spring loads, the two align, and they align at 72-hour mark because this movement features 72 hours of power reserve. As the power reserve depletes, the two discs start moving in opposite directions until they kind of reach zero, and then you know you need to wind the movement again. A clever system, and I think well executed on this watch. The power reserve is one of the most useful complications, however, it's one of the ugliest complications. A proper power reserve is hard to execute unless you have something like a chronograph with a lot of subdials. On a dress watch, it's very difficult to add a power reserve without taking away from the symmetry of the dial. And I think Longines here has nailed it, but they actually nailed it in 1950s. Now they just reissued a modern version of the same watch. The only thing that I'm not so crazy about with this watch is the price, 3,650 Swiss francs. It's roughly about the same in dollars. I think that's quite steep. I know that this has a higher complication of the power reserve, but still, I don't know how big the market will be for these watches. I hope it's a successful model because I want to see more models like this coming from Longines. Well done. The new Sherpa and the Real-Time Show podcast collaboration diver. Sherpa is one of these watch brands that have a rich history in watchmaking community. Unfortunately, Quartz Crisis weren't too kind to them. They went out of business for a bit, but now they're back with the two new models. One of the models is called the Ultra Dive, the other one is called OPS. So this new collaboration between the Real-Time Show and Sherpa is a variation of their OPS model. The original reissue of the OPS was done with the DLC coating on the case. What this new collaboration model features is a sandblasted case instead. Everything else about the watch seemingly is about the same. It still features the same dial, still the same compression style case. The clever system behind this case is actually the deeper it gets in the water, the more water resistant it gets because the pressure from the water actually compresses the case. It's a very clever system. I'm not sure why it's not used more widely anymore. Maybe if you know the answer, leave it in a comment section below. These watches also have a very reasonable case size, 40mm diameter, only 13.5mm case thickness, which is really good for a compressor style case, and they're about 50mm from one lug to another. The case material is stainless steel. They feature 200 meters of water resistance, two crowns, of course, the one at the 2 o'clock position, that's the one to rotate the inner rotating bezel, the one at the 4 o'clock position, that's the one to control the movement. Something to note, these crowns are actually not screwed down. The technology that they use here don't require the crowns to be screwed down, which is actually pretty cool. They are powered by the Sellita SW200-1 automatic movement. We are very familiar with this movement. It beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has 26 joules and about 38 hours of power reserve. The one thing that I'm not too crazy about is the price of these watches. They're about 6,200 euros. That's a lot of money, if I'm being honest, for a watch like this. I never actually experienced one in my hands, so maybe I'm completely wrong because watches are not only specs list. There is something extra, such as build quality and the power of the name and history. But at least looking at the specs, I don't get it. I don't know why this watch is so expensive. Once again, maybe if you know, if you have experienced these new Sherpa watches, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Are these watches worth this $6,500 price tag? The new Maurice Lacroix Icons Automatic 39mm with the blue PVD coating. Maurice Lacroix is one of these brands that is sort of flying under the radar. Even a lot of watch enthusiasts don't know anything about this brand. I personally really like it. In fact, there were a few times that I almost pulled the trigger on one of these Icons watches because I really dig the style. I don't really have any integrated bracelet watches in my collection, and they have a few different ones to choose from, which I think look very sharp, and on eBay and on Chrono24 you can score some great deals on these watches. Well, now there's a new addition to their Icons collection. This one is in 39mm case diameter, which is very good for these integrated bracelet / integrated strap type watches. It also features a blue case with the DLC coating. I think overall the watch looks very sharp. It's a very thin piece, only 11mm in case thickness, still features 200 meters of water resistance, a screw down at the 3 o'clock position, no date complication, which keeps the dial very minimalistic. And speaking of the dial, we of course cannot not mention this waffle texture in a combination with the case design, the bezel design, as well as that integrated strap. You can't help but think of AP Royal Oak when you look at this watch. I think it has enough of its own character to be its own thing. I don't think it's necessarily a copy of AP, but it is certainly paying an homage to an AP. You can't deny that. But I actually think there's another watch that this pays homage to also, especially with this blue DLC case, and it's the Zenith Defy in the blue ceramic cases. I actually really like those watches as well, and I think this is sort of a good budget alternative to the Zenith or the AP. The price of this watch is 2,400 Swiss francs, which I think is on the upper side, but it is still reasonable. It features a Sellita SW200 movement, and the specs are sort of there. The last thing I want to talk about is not really a new watch release, it's more of a news release, and it's that Swatch Group had a very solid 2023 and they have a very positive outlook for 2024. The positive outlook for 2024 is a bunch of nonsense. It's corporate talk. Of course, they're going to say that they're excited about the next year. That's not surprising. That's not why I wanted to talk about this. Why I wanted to bring it up, because it's nice to see that the watch industry is still doing well. Even with all the smartwatches and the tough economic conditions in 2022 and 2023, the watch industry is showing its resilience. In fact, they're still growing, largely thanks to their Swatch and Speedmaster collaboration / Swatch and Blancpain collaboration. So those have really driven the sales figures, but also they're talking about how the regular Blancpain 50 Fathoms cannot be stocked in stores because they just keeps on getting sold out. So the popularity of that watch has increased. The Omega as a brand has been doing really well for them. So there's a lot of positivity that's behind Swatch Group. And I know a lot of people don't like Swatch Group. They don't like this sort of corporate world. I am one of these people. I like the watches to have a little bit more soul, but I am happy to see watch industry doing well, because if watch industry is doing well, they're going to continue innovating, they're going to continue bringing out good models. When the watch industry starts struggling, that's when they start cutting corners, trying to reduce models and trying to play it safe. They're not going to take any risks when they're doing poorly. So this, to me, is a very welcomed news. And that's it. Those were the watch releases / news that I wanted to highlight this week. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what releases stood out to you. I always enjoy reading your comments. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye.